Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Gaming Daddy channel. Today we're going to be taking another technical dive into overcharge measures in the Division 2. And overcharge measures are basically skill levels. Pretty much you can take your skill to a max level higher than it already is past skill tier 6. So those of you who are veterans, you already know this. This is not new. But there are a lot of combinations and strategies that you can basically use to achieve this. I remember when I kind of started building this character, I didn't have any items, so I was stuck with, some China Light stuff that I'd picked up, and then I got a bunch of Empress International stuff. And so I was just kind of like, slapping some things together, but in a coherent way to have it make sense. So I was using, I think, 3 pieces of the Empress International, and I was using, I think, 2 or 3 pieces of the China Light, just to kind of like get all the bonuses from all of them, because those pieces were quite decent. I was able to get more out of them than, say, the other items that I gotten. In fact, till now, I still have some items that are just lacking in quality, but over time that's going to be taken care of from just a little bit more grind and farming. And one of the really interesting things that I figured was I got these talents that I saw, man, they will complement each other. In fact, in my Steal This Build series, I'd actually made a video showcasing this build. And what was even better for me was I went ahead and got, the Val Mask. It dropped for me, one of the first exotics that I got as I started playing. So I was like, this is perfect. So I started to use these to, basically carry out my overcharge builds. And I was able to get a nice, let me see, it's a nice M1A here that pretty much does the job when it comes to taking down enemies. I got to show this to you guys. It's a classic M1A. It's got Future Perfect on it, and it's max rolled. So it deals a very decent amount of damage, 236,000. When enemies are in their last bar of health, if I hit them once with that thing, I usually, take them down, and I'm able to get the Future Perfect talent proc. Now, here's the beauty of getting your overcharge in places. You're able to do some very good damage numbers that usually, you'll have to basically spec your gear to be able to get to. Say, if you look at, say, this Seeker Mine, okay, this is the Airburst, I think. Yep, it's the Airburst Seeker Mine. The damage is about 982,000 based on my build. I need to spec skill damage for this one. So usually the other build that I spec'd for was for status effect. So I can actually get this number much higher. If you get to overcharge, what's going to happen is you're going to have an extra 100% damage increase. And you're also going to get 100% burn damage and also get 400% burn duration and 300% skill haste. This is insane. Including everything that you're already getting with, your 6 skill tier, by the way. That's what makes the overcharge very, very useful. And this skill is a very challenging one to use. You basically have one target that you proc. But the only thing now is you're going to have to use your med kits in this sense to be able to do it. With a 60-second cooldown, you can use Energize, and you're able to get, the overcharge for 15 seconds. 15 seconds is a very, very big deal. And if you don't want to run out of your med kits, using Efficient is the way to go. Now, yes, it may seem like you're leaving a lot of damage on the table, but if you're in a situation where you don't have a lot of the gear or something that you just want to see how overcharge does work, I really think this build is a winner if you use it properly. Because say I throw my Airburst, I throw my Seeker Mine, or let's say my my chem launcher. This is a fire starter, isn't it? Or it's the mortar. It looks like the mortar. Let me go ahead and change this. Sorry, real quick. Yep, it's the riot foam. Okay, good. So if I use my chem launcher, if I were to aim my chem launcher at these enemy NPCs, you can see my radius here. It's not necessarily the biggest of radiuses, but if I were to activate overcharge with it, let me damage myself here. You can damage self, good. And then let me go ahead and put on my medkit, and boom, now it's activated. And now if you look at look at my radius, it literally is extending to the other side of the screen. And that's a really cool thing to go with. Now, 15 seconds, I can basically, drop my skills. I can target another enemy NPC with that, getting all of that damage. And boy, it's a home run, man. Once you land that, once you land all of that damage, it's basically it's a win for you, because that really takes you from where you were when it related to your skill damage, and has moved you over the edge to damage parameters that you basically cannot achieve on your build by yourself. Now, yes, if you were to go ahead and build maybe Eclipse Protocol, maybe, take your build and put together a Wyvern, Hana Yu, Murakami combinations, you can get more damage than this build will get on the surface. But then if you had Overcharge on those other builds, then those builds would definitely, already outperform a build like this. But the only difference is that Overcharge needs to be attained by external sources that are not necessarily based on your gear. And let me explain. So if you look at the Black Tusk gloves, I don't have one on this character. The BTSU gloves allow for you to be able to deal very significant damage when you destroy a hive, and it grants your teammates, if they're at skill tier 6, Overcharge. Now that has a 2-minute cooldown, but it's still a worthwhile enterprise. Let me see if I can find the BTSU gloves here. Where's this is the crafting station. All right, let's go to gloves, and I think there might be a blueprint for it, but it will still be locked. It will tell you have to first get the BTSU gloves or whatever it is. Is this it? Okay, no, it doesn't have acquire the exotic from whatever. It doesn't give you the description. Sorry, I thought it would. But at the end of the day, it's very, very useful in that sense. So that Overcharge is coming from an external source, if you get what I mean. And then another external source will be using the weapon talent Future Perfection, which when you kill an enemy, it will grant you it says weapon kills grants one skill tier for 19 seconds, stacks up to 3 times. So weapon kills at skill tier 6 grants you Overcharge for 15 seconds and has a 90-second cooldown. So this cooldown is also really high, in my opinion, much higher than I would like for it to be. But I think that's because the way the game is, even your weapon classes, if you're not skilled, very high on your weapon damage, you still deal a decent amount of damage as a skill player. In the Division 1, when you use skills, you basically gave up almost all your damage, and you could hardly put a dent in an enemy NPC. But Division 2 still allows for gunplay to happen. So now I already have my Overcharge. If you look at that radius, I can pretty much burn this whole place down. It's insane. So yes, that 90-second cooldown is a nice way to go. If you have it, I would recommend that you actually try and use it in that sense. So these are some strategies that you can use to attain Overcharge. Either you put it in your gear, try something out like that. Some people run this combination. They'll probably not run the Vow Mask. They'll run maybe another brand set that complements all of this, and then they go ahead. Why am I marking this for recalibration? Well, it's not good enough. I guess I can still use it. I need some Hana U anyways. And then they go run the BTSU gloves. So not only are they getting Overcharge, they're supporting their team and getting Overcharge as well. Some would even use it as a healer. That way they can actually provide a wider variation of support. But if you really want to see a build on, something like this, I've made a video that somebody actually put the idea together and actually submitted it to our Steal This Build series. I'll recommend that you watch that video. I'll link it for you guys here in the comment section. It's a very interesting build that does showcase kind of a support player being able to branch out very widely and using these strategies for themselves and for their team. So I hope this video was, if anything, I would say interesting or informational for those of you who are just, walking into the game and you're trying to figure out the systems. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. I appreciate you guys' time and audience. Thank you so much for all that you guys have been doing to support the Game Your Daddy channel. It's a big deal that you guys are here in this community with this journey on YouTube and all that. So talk to you all soon. Peace out.